Welcome to the first episode of the Rise Up Report. This is your source for all things XCFL Falcons. And I'm your host, Nick Naylor, and we have a great episode for you. This is the off-season for the 2018 season. So I'm just going to go over real quickly with the Falcons. They were eliminated in the divisional game. They were 2 games away from making the Super Bowl, and definitely a crushing defeat. So their new coach, Duke Silver, has decided to shake things up and go in a different route with a number of different things. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at some key additions and losses this offseason. We're going to look at the draft. So we're going to kind of wrap up how their draft went and kind of analyze each pick and kind of see what the experts are saying about this draft. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to talk about the additions and the losses this offseason. As you can see, some of the big names on this is Julio Jones, Desmond Trufant, Annie Levitre, and Hagman. Hagman wasn't that big of a loss as the other 3, but Duke Silver deciding he wanted to go younger. He decided he wanted to be able to afford some of these upcoming expiring contracts and doesn't want to lose any pieces, so he did give away some players, and we're going to talk about the trade impact and how that affected them. Now, I will say this did not come with any lack of controversy. A lot of people are saying that there was rumors that a lot of people inside the front office of Atlanta did not like the fact that they traded Julio Jones. For one, business decision, he's their number 1 player as far as jersey sales, and he also has a huge following with the fans. He's just probably the fan favorite on this team. There was a lot of angry fans that said, hey, we shouldn't even hire Duke Silver, and why did we even give him keys to the Porsche, so to speak. They actually did hire him as VP of operations, so he has control over everything. One of his big moves was getting rid of Julio Jones. Now, I will say, by getting rid of Julio Jones, they did receive Sterling Shepard, the young, explosive wide receiver, and they did also receive the 19th overall pick from the Giants. For Desmond Trufant, the Titans came at them and pretty much backed up the truck and gave them anything they wanted. So basically what they got was they got 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. So the first-round pick and the second-round pick was this year, and then they stack up another first-round pick for next season. Annie Levitre, he was actually in a trade to move up to the 4th pick overall, and again, he has a huge contract. Now, I will say with the other 2, they have a $25 million cap penalty against them. So when they went into the offseason, they were not able to really spend a lot of money. So if you look here, there's not a bunch of names in the additions here. Biggest name obviously is probably Sterling Shepard and Jeremy Hill. Jeremy Hill, they actually did give a 2nd-round pick. This is one of our favorites because Jeremy Hill did come over. The Vikings actually re-signed him, and they had to pay the bonus out. So they're essentially getting Jeremy Hill for 4 years and about a $2 million a year deal. So that's a great contract. And Jeremy Hill, what Duke Silver wants to do is be able to rest the legs of Freeman. They don't want to overwork him, and they want to be able to put Jeremy Hill as their bell cow. So they want him to run the ball, and they want to be able to get Freeman out in open space. So that was 2 of their big acquisitions. They did get Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley was one of their big key free agents because they did need somebody to back up Matt Ryan and potentially take over for him if they decide to let Matt Ryan go this year. So you'll probably see Matt Barkley playing to see how he gels with this team. And then lastly, Roger Saffold. Not a huge name. You don't think, wow, this is such a sexy signing. But guess what? Last season, Roger Saffold only gave up 2 sacks the entire season. And they got him for a really substantial contract. It was very low, and they were able to sign him and get him kind of to to replace Andy Levitri. Now, he's not as good. He's not a Pro Bowl caliber, but he will be able to shore that line up while they kind of rebuild this offensive line that's kind of aging at this point. So, obviously, the additions don't outweigh the losses, but again, this team is wanting to get younger, and Duke Silver knows that they do have a lot of contracts that are coming soon. So they need to make sure that they free up some of the salary cap. From my math, they're going to probably open up almost $50 million by getting rid of Julio Jones, Trufant, and Ryan if they do not re-sign him. And that's going to be able to re-sign guys like Grady Jarrett. That's going to be able to sign Jalen Collins. And obviously, that right there, those are two huge names. So, and also Jake Matthews on the offensive line. He's still young. These are young guys that they want to re-sign, and be able to do that, they had to make a tough decision to get rid of Julio Jones and Trufant. And to be honest with you, people are saying that in this, at camp right now, Jalen Collins is playing like a shutdown corner. So we're going to go into the Falcons draft here. So we're going to take a look and see what they did as far as their draft. We're only going to go over 5 picks here. We don't have enough time to go over every single pick. But as you can see, they had 3 first-round picks. This is the negotiating power of Duke Silver and the maneuvering. He always has said this is not a game of checkers, it's a game of chess. So he was able to put the pieces together and be able to get some really good pieces in return. Now you're going to look at the number 1 pick that they had, which was pick number 4, and they got a guy by the name of Jamal Perkins. Jamal Perkins is an absolute beast. Biggest knock on him was he got kicked out of Oklahoma. They actually said that he violated a couple of the rules, but before that, he was creating havoc. He was leading the entire country in sacks. He was also an All-American for his junior and senior year. He did come with some baggage issues. Now, as you know, Duke Silver is no stranger to players with issues. He felt like he could turn this guy into a superstar caliber player. They didn't really have a huge need in, but what they did is that they actually put depth there. So now you've got DeForest Buckner on one side, you got Grady Jarrett, the nose tackle. Now you got Jamal Perkins on the right end. He's probably going to eventually take over the job from Adrian Claiborne. They did lock him up for another 3 years, but he's going to be more of a depth rotational player. Jamal Perkins comes with a 91 strength, 84 tackling, 85 block shed, and 88 power moves. This guy can get past the left guard, and that's what he's going to need to do. They did not get a lot of pressure from that side, and Jamal Perkins is going to be able to, demand attention. He's got 84 acceleration, which means that he can get to the quarterback and he can get to him fast. He is 6'7", 287. He's going to wear the number 92 from his hero, Reggie White. Now, Jamal Perkins is more, to me, like a Julius Pepper. He's going to be able to create havoc, and having Vic Beasley and DeForest Buckner on the other side, he's just going to be able to, have a field day. He's going to have a lot of single man-on-man with the left tackle. He's going to be facing a lot of good left tackles, but with his strength and his ability to move, he's definitely going to be able to shore up that line. So I really like this pick. We go back to this, and we're going to look here, and I got to give him a B. I do think, a lot of according to the XCFL insiders, they gave him a B as well. They didn't love the pick because of the trouble that he comes with, the baggage that he comes with, but they did like it. If Duke Silver can get the most out of him, this guy is a Pro Bowl superstar caliber player. So we really like that pick. Now, pick 19. They did get this pick from the Giants. So this is essentially Sterling Shepard and Joseph Deal for Julio Jones, and I like it. He's not the best right tackle in the class, but he was a good tackle. He did go to Pittsburgh, which isn't a huge school, but they're They're really good. He only gave up, like, I think 3 sacks the entire time he was there. He actually started his sophomore season. He comes with 89 strength, 80 run block, 79 pass block, and 85 impact. He's going to be able to pancake some of these guys. Big knock on him, he wasn't consistent. At Pitt, he would have a game where he'd have like 5 pancakes and just completely dominate the line. And then the next game, he'd give up, a couple sacks. So the consistency is what they worry about here. But with a guy with an 81 acceleration, these fast pass rushers are not going to be able to get around him. I think what they're going to do is they're going to maneuver him at guard for right now and eventually work his way over to right tackle as Schrader moves on and he gets older and moves on. So this is a pretty good pick for him. I don't love it, but at 19, the tackles and guards were starting to go off the board. Again, but the XCFL insiders, they all kind of agree it's a C+. It's not great, but they did like the pick. Now, my favorite pick out of their entire draft, pick number 26. This guy is a monster. His name is Sinala Gross. He is from the University of Tennessee. This guy is a superstar. This is why I don't worry about losing Trufant too much. You've got Jalen Collins, and you've got Alford, and you got Gross. Now Gross is probably going to be playing in the nickel until he gets his feet wet a little bit, but eventually he's going to be on the outside with Collins. This guy, I can't believe they fell to him. There was actually a really funny controversy that there was the tweet that went out with the Cincinnati Bengals that said that Gross had actually left their facility, but they weren't sure if the Bengals were going to draft him or not. It was actually a late moment that they brought him in for a last-minute interview. Sources around the league say that there was something happen in the interview. Bengals decided to go with the middle linebacker, and he drops all the way down to 26. This was the biggest shock of the draft for a lot of people. Insiders said there had to be something that the public didn't know about. Still, nothing's came out. So, for some reason, Gross did fall to that 26 spot. We got to give that pick an A+. This guy is a beast. He is going to be, like I said, a superstar. He's probably going to be, Pro Bowler in this second season. So they really like this pick. Their next pick was pick number 2, or in the second round is 49. They went with a guy named Quadarius Swanson, outside linebacker from Eastern Michigan. They really like this guy. He actually, plays at a smaller school, so going against those tackles and everything, that's why he kind of fell. They weren't really sure about the level of competition he was playing against. But he is going to be more of a pass rushing situation type of linebacker his first couple years. If you look here, the one thing that sticks out is 84 power moves. If they put him in on third down, second and long, those type of situations, he's going to be able to get a couple sacks this year. Hopefully, he'll be able to be a rotational guy, pass rushing situation, eventually leading to, who knows, he may even take over the outside linebacker position. But they did like this pick. They wanted to get a little bit more depth at the outside linebacker. If you look, he's got 76 tackle, 80 speed, 77 pursuit. He's going to be a good player, but you can't keep him in there that first, second down because of the 73 block sheds. He's not going to be able to really get back to the pass rush or get if the outside run plays. So the insiders, they said, you know what, we don't love the pick, but it filled a need. We'll give him a C. It wasn't the greatest pick in the world. Now we go to their 5th pick, and the last one we're going to go over. The insiders really did like this one. This guy's name is Zacolian Gray. He is actually out of the Virginia Tech. They really do like this guy. He's 21 years old, so he's got room to grow. He actually played left end at Virginia Tech, but what we think that the Falcons are going to do is they're going to use him as a rotational guy on the defensive line, but they also may play him as if they have a 4-3 package, they may play him a defensive tackle with a 90 strength, 83 tackle, and 80 block shedding. This guy can really get to the next level. He's 6'6", 308 pounds. and 78 acceleration. He actually had a lot of double teams when he was playing at Virginia Tech. They really liked this guy. He was high on the charts. He actually did fall in the 4th round, which a lot of people were wondering what happened. But Gray is a good pick here. Again, it's not the sexiest pick, but what they did was, if you look at what they did, they didn't have to fill needs. What they did was they picked that off of depth, and that's what they needed to do. And if you look at what they did overall, I mean, they had a pretty successful draft. Now, nobody's going to know until, to a couple years from now, we'll see if any of these players panned out or if all of them did or whatever. But on paper, before the season starts, they actually did pretty good with their draft. Having 3 first-round picks, they had to hit a home run with a couple of them. Now, we're going to be talking about the offensive and defensive depth chart. Looking at the depth chart, we're actually thinking that at least 3 of these players probably are going to be starting the first 3 picks. And that's because obviously first rounders normally start. Second rounders are more rotational guys, and maybe a couple years for them to develop. But as we see it now, we're going to take a look here. We think that there's going to be a couple people that actually do make start right away. We're going to look at the offensive depth chart first. Obviously, you got Matt Ryan. He's going to be the guy that it's going to be very important for him. He doesn't have Julio now, so we're going to have to see what Matt Ryan can do with these receivers around him. He's got Mohamed Sanu's going to be their number 1. He's got Sterling Shepard's going to be on the other outside, and Tyler Gabriel in the slot. Tyler Gabriel with his speed, he should be able to get him the ball a lot. Now, they do have Tajay Sharp. They were hoping that he would kind of progress a little bit more to where he's at. That's why they did get Shepard in the trade. They don't trust him as a number 2 yet. But he's only 23 years old. He's got time to develop. They really do like him. When you look at the offensive line, it's really it's an aging line. If you look at Alex Nax, he's 32. Schrader's 30. Saffold is 30. And then Matthews is only 26. But what they want to do is they're going to have to start thinking about the future. We do like the line. We don't like it as much as we did last year, but the line is pretty stout, and they got some depth there. They picked some other players in the draft that are going to do pretty well. They have Sean Harlow, who last year went down with an ACL, and he was gone for the year. They got him back, and he's going to be a rotational guy. Austin Hooper at tight end, they love this kid. He's only 23 years old, and they think he is going to be a superstar this year. He got hurt, wasn't able to play a lot, so they were kind of disappointed with his season and how it went. But Matt Ryan, in the tough games, he did rely on Hooper, and Hooper did not let him down. He almost caught everything that came to him. And then you got the fullback, Coleman. They don't love this kid, but, they've got him tied up in a contract, and, there's not a lot of good fullbacks out there, so they're going to roll with him. And then, obviously, when you look at the running back position, you've got Devontae Freeman, Jeremy Hill, Amir Abdullah, and Brian Hill. Now, Amir Abdullah's contract is going to be up. They did get him in the Tevin Coleman trade. Abdullah's contract is going to be up, and there's speculation that they may not go after him because of Jeremy Hill. They do like Jeremy Hill a lot, and if he produces like they think he's going to, they may let Abdullah walk. Now, if it was me, I'd keep Abdullah because he's got speed and he's a great change of pace back. But they really like Brian Hill, and they want to work him into the game. He probably won't see the field a lot this year unless there's some substantial injuries with this team. So this is your offensive depth chart. We're going to take a look at your defensive depth chart. Now, obviously, this is just a projection. This is not anything in this is not anything in stone. As you can see, Darius Butler, he's a key addition here. He's 32 years old, so they only got him on a 1-year contract, but he's going to be a good outside guy until Gross gets that feet wet. And then they got Robert Alford, and then Jalen Collins and Gross. So if you look at those 4, all of them are 80. They should be able to do pretty well. I think that if you looked at the defense from last year, they gave up a lot of passing yards, but they were number 1 with points against. They did not give up a lot of points last year. Duke Silver seems to think that they even have a better team this year than they did last year. I don't know if I'd go that far as of yet, but if you look at the addition of Perkins and Gross, and now actually McKinley taking that outside linebacker job, and then a healthy Deion Jones, I really do think that they could step to the next level. Obviously, sack leader from last year, 15 sacks for Vic Beasley, 10 sacks for Buckner. You've got both of those guys. Now you've just added Perkins, who's going to be a pass rusher. You got Jarrett, who loves to be able to disrupt the middle and be able to help the outside pass rushers get pressure. And then you got McKinley. So you've got 4, 5, 6 pass rushers that can get to the quarterback. This is going to be scary for the opposing quarterbacks. Deion Jones loves to hover that field. When he went down last year, it really did hurt them in the middle. I really thought that they may go middle linebacker, but they didn't like a lot of the linebackers in the draft. They do like Campbell. He actually came over from the outside to fit in this 3-4 scheme. And then you've got Neal. This is a hard-hitting safety. He's only 23 years old. They love this guy. He can cover, he can hit, he can come up in the box. He's more of a hybrid safety linebacker, but they love this kid. He's one of the reasons why they had such a stout rushing defense last year. And then you got Ricardo Allen at the other side of free safety. He's got 85 zone, 80 man. This guy can cover with a lot of the actual cornerbacks, so they love having him there. So if you look there, and they actually may play Perkins and Gray at the defensive tackle if something happens to Jarrett. But typically with your 3-4, you only have 1 or 2 defensive tackles that really play a lot. But if you look at this, they've got terrific depth. This is a team that is going to be able to compete, and this is what they wanted to do. The front office said, look, we are in a reloading year, so they don't believe that this is going to be a down year for them. Now, this upcoming season, they've got 2 first rounds, 2 second rounds. They didn't like any of the quarterbacks that was in the draft last year. So this coming year, they've got a lot of ammo where they can move up if they see if they see a pretty good quarterback class. And some are speculating that there will be pretty good quarterbacks in this class. We will have to wait and see, but that's going to be interesting to see what happens with Matt Ryan and that contract. So I hope you enjoyed the first episode of the Rise Up Report. This has been really fun for me, Nick Naylor, and again, we are going to have many episodes like this. This is going to be your first episode, obviously, and this is your off-season report. As the weeks go by, we're going to show some highlights. We're going to talk about some stats, talk about injuries, and we'll probably even do some around the league and look how they compare to some of the other teams. So I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe and like. And as always, thanks for coming.